Is Alabama the best team in college football? We're going to talk about that with our buddy Luke Robinson. Locked On SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what's up, everybody? Welcome into Locked On SEC. I'm Chris Gordy. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Shout out to everydayers. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Now on the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network, broadcasting daily across Alabama, Louisiana, and Mississippi. And, of course, all over the world on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use our code LOCKEDONCollege, get $20 off your first purchase. All right, we've been kind of going around talking a bunch of different teams in the SEC the last couple of days, and so I figured it'd be a good day to bring in our buddy Luke Robinson from Locked On Bama and talk a little bit about the Crimson Tide, because, Luke, they have been on an absolute historic tear here as of late. Of course, with the 4 straight wins over ranked teams in SEC play without a bye week. I think I said that right. But Georgia, Vandy, Mizzou, Tennessee. You've been at most of these, Luke. Even you got to be impressed by this stretch run.
Yeah, it's been pretty incredible. I've been to the last 3, and the first half of the Georgia game, you thought, hey, nobody can stop us. And then the second half, of course, Alabama is shut out. And then the first drive for Vandy, when they had break off about a 70-yarder for a touchdown, you're thinking, oh, my gosh, here we go again. But give the defense and give Kane Womack a ton of credit. I mean, I was on his case a little bit, and especially after that long run. And since then, yeah, I mean, they've given up some points here and there. They gave up points on the first drive against Missouri. But for the most part, they've held everybody well below their season averages. Tennessee was the leading scorer in the country, and Alabama held them to 20 points. So, or really 20, probably held them to 27, considering that last one probably should have been a touchdown, according to Dave Portnoy.
Yeah, the goal line right before halftime, just absolutely nutso. It's funny, though, Luke, I was talking to somebody before the game, and, because I kept trying to fill it out. I'm like, Tennessee, the offense has been humming and all this. But I had a buddy text me for the game and goes, dude, Tennessee's walking in a hornet's nest. Like, this feels like like Saban, Bryant Denny. Like, that was the vibe he was getting on campus on Saturday. And I was like, oh, God, I'm glad I didn't bet on Tennessee, because it was just heading that direction as the game got going. That's what happened, and everybody was lighting up cigars at the end. Is that kind of the feeling coming out of after this win, that, like, look, man, this is feeling like everybody's hope was Kalen DeBoer would pick up where Saban left off. And obviously there was a down slope last year, and then you open this year with the loss of Florida State, and everybody's freaking out and ready to run him out of town. But is it starting to feel like this thing is kind of leveled out here?
Definitely. And the atmosphere Saturday night was at least equal to, if not greater than, Georgia last year. And Georgia last year was about the best I'd been to, and God knows how long in Bryant Denny. Look, as an Alabama fan, when I go to visiting places, I expect a pretty incredible atmosphere, because at least for the last 15, 20 years, everybody's been trying to take the crown from the king. Well, at home, it hadn't quite been that way, because we sort of feel like, hey, we show up, roll the ball out there, and we'll win. I mean, and that's been the case. But last year humbled us a little bit. And so I think this year, playing Tennessee, it was one of those things where we were like, okay, let's get it rocking around here. And frankly, I don't know how it could have gotten any louder anywhere else than it did on that interception return by Xavier Brown. I mean, I was screaming so loud and for so long. I turned to a friend, I was giving him high fives, and then I turned back around. I'm like, he's still running. I mean, it was such a long way to go. And yeah, the vibe was pretty incredible. And, it's already paid some dividends. Alabama got a commitment from Corey Howard, who they flipped from Georgia. They got a commitment from Trent Seaborn, who one of the top quarterbacks in the country for 2027. And this is a guy I can promise you will go down as an Alabama high school legend. He won a state championship as an 8th grader. He won one last year. He's played in another one. He's on pace to play in another one this year, and then he's got another year to go. So, I mean, this guy is going to just be walking out with more rings than Elton John, and he's just something else. And look, physically, he's probably not the most gifted guy you've ever seen, but I'm telling you, the kid's just a winner.
Yeah, it does feel like, too, that's kind of been the aftermath here on this win streak. It's a historic win streak. It's been awesome. But how many recruits we've seen the last 2 weeks or so kind of start to give their commitments to Alabama. And I said this to Bama fans, too, who were freaking out about recruiting when DeBoer first got there. I said, look, winning cures all. You know, I said, if he wins, they're going to, you know, the recruits are going to come. And so to me, that's what's been so impressive about this stretch run is, yeah, it's 4 ranked teams. And again, had you asked me for the stretch, Luke, I would have said 2-2, maybe 3-1 if everything goes well. But to be 4-0 in that stretch is just absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, and nobody else is going to play a gauntlet like that. And, I mean, I've even seen some talk from national people about, hey, you know, should Alabama be ranked number 1? Look, I don't think so because I just don't think you can discount that Florida State loss. I was there. It was awful. It was just awful. And in the end, though, it may be one of those things you lose the battle, win the war. And I think that was really a turning point for this team. I mean, the very next game, Ty Simpson comes out and he's a perfect 17 for 17. I believe they win 73-0 against ULM, but they look sharp. And since then, yeah, they've had some valleys occasionally, but nothing like the valley we saw in Tallahassee. And I think that this coaching staff finally has its footing. They seem to be pressing all the right buttons at the right time when it comes to play calling, even on the play where it was called a fumble by Ty Simpson. I still think his arm was going forward and it should have been called an incomplete pass. At the very least, it should have been like, I don't think you can bat the ball as a defender in the direction of that goal. Anyway, I digress. That I think his arm was going forward, but they called it a fumble. Well, he had Lottie Brooks open for a touchdown. If the ball could have gotten out of his hands, I think that's a touchdown. The problem was it just slipped right out of his hands. And my point is that this staff is calling all the right plays and just pushing the right buttons and doing the right things. You know, the last call against Georgia was incredibly well thought out and executed. This staff has found its footing, and it is fun to see.
Yeah, and even the calls in that Missouri game. I mean, where Mizzou was doing everything they could to, like it was trending towards, oh, here they come. They're going to come back and win, and they just going forward on the 4th and goal, the 4th downs. I mean, it's like everything they're doing has been great. And Ryan Grubb, you're really seeing the difference maker, man. I think it's, you know, people wanted to make this about Jalen Milroe last year and now Ty Simpson this year, but I think Ryan Grubb deserves as much credit because if he's not here, I don't know if this offense looks as good as it has.
No, I think that's totally true. The only problem I have is he may be looking too good. I mean, his name may be getting out there for some head coaching jobs because it seems like it's firing season and everybody's got a hankering for some firing right now. And he's going to be one of the hot names. If you think about this, he may be the offensive coordinator for a team that could end up certainly in the playoffs, maybe, you know, a 1-4 seed, and could have the Heisman Trophy winner from a guy who most people are like, we don't know anything about this guy. He can't be very good. He couldn't beat out Jalen Milroe. So you do all those things, yeah, your name's going to get put into some hats for some coaching vacancies.
More with Luke Robinson in just a second. But first, guys, Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IIHS top safety pick awards than anybody else. From footwork to breathwork, athletes, they sweat all the details. Mazda, they bring that same intention to how they craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to the available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from the smooth handling to the intuitive controls. And with all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Just like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count impossible, it becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. If you're thinking of getting a new vehicle, I would encourage you to check out our friends over at Mazda. This episode also brought to you by our friends at Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton cross-training tread powered by Peloton IQ. It is their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move. Whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors, this is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. You're going to love how the Peloton IQ system offers real-time strength coaching. It actually tracks your reps, suggests the right weights, and corrects your form, making every rep safer and smarter. And the swivel screen, it's a game changer. You can go from running on the tread to strength training without missing a beat, and the personalized class recommendations keep you engaged. You get workouts tailored to your vibe and energy level each week. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton cross-training tread today at onepeloton.com. That's OnePeloton.com. Continue our conversation with Luke Robinson, Locked On Bama. And it's funny, Luke, when we were talking about Ryan Grubb there, I just saw this glimpse of Hugh Freeze being fired at Auburn and Auburn hiring Ryan Grubb as their head coach. I think that would be it. Wouldn't be it wouldn't be the sexiest hire, but that would be definitely one to like a dig at Bama. Hey, we're going to take your guy and good luck with your.
Well, I mean, they sort of did it with Bill Oliver. It wasn't a head coaching thing, but Terry Bowden took him as their DC back in the mid '90s. I remember that well. And you want to talk about it was controversial then, sort of pre-internet and definitely pre-social media. Can you imagine now?
No, it would be the end of the world for a lot of folks. But I want to get back to this team a little bit, Luke. What have you made of Ty Simpson and how good he has been, man? I mean, I think we're all kind of surprised. I talking with the Manning Passing Academy in the offseason, I just thought this kid's got his head on his shoulders. He's in the right mindset, but it's all about executing. And man, he has executed at the highest level.
He really has. And look, let's not pretend he doesn't have some great weapons. He does, but he is also throwing the ball at places where NFL quarterbacks throw the ball, good NFL quarterbacks. And people are taking notice. I mean, you can just follow a lot of draft experts or GM types on Twitter, and they are putting out film of like, man, Ty Simpson is just putting the ball where only his guy can go get it. And at a place where it's really helping his team, and he has been quite incredible. And the relationship he seems to have with the other players, I hate to say shocked, because I don't think it's like they didn't like him. The way that everything was presented to me a while back in terms of, hey, Jalen Milroe, he was sort of the leader, et cetera. I wondered how people would gravitate towards Ty Simpson from the team. And man, every time he has an interview, there's always some teammate coming behind him and saying, this is the man, this is the Heisman, Jeremy Bernard or Ryan Williams or Horton or whoever. They seem to really love this guy. And he's a good kid. He sort of go to bed at 9 o'clock, wake up at 5 a.m. kind of kid, works all day long, studies hard, devout Christian, just a super, super guy. He's hard not to like.
It's interesting too when you talk about the offensive weapons. I'm not shocked that Jeremy Bernard is the leading receiver on this team, because we knew veteran guy, he was going to come in and be very productive. But probably the most baffling stat in the world, Luke, is that I look down and Ryan Williams ranks 80th in college football receiving yards. I mean, if you had told me Bama's going to be sitting here at 6-1, 4-0 in the SEC, and Ryan Williams hasn't even been a huge factor, that's just absolutely wild to me.
Yeah, and his best game, even though, I mean, I guess technically and statistically he had a better game against Wisconsin with 2 touchdowns and, sort of broke some ankles a few times. I would argue this game against Tennessee is his best game. He had a lot of catches. He didn't break 100 yards, but I think he got to 95, didn't have a touchdown, but his catches were all just great. I mean, he had some really great passes from Ty. That said, unless you're a great receiver, you don't make the catches. And he wasn't dropping anything. I just thought he played his best game. I think Ryan Williams is finally coming around, and Jimmy and I talked about it on Locked On Bama that, this was probably a good game for him to have in terms of he has a good game, not a great game, but not a terrible game. Like he has one of those games where like, okay, I can be a part of this process. Then every now and again, I can be a superstar. I don't have to do it all every single time. I wonder if the weight of some of his expectations was weighing him down on some of these drops and other things. And maybe it brought him back down to earth a little bit and humbled him and grounded him. And because this last game, he was on point. He was catching everything that was thrown at him.
Quick thought, Luke, on the game this weekend, because we talk about, man, what an absolutely epic stretch. 4 straight wins over ranked opponents without a week off. You got one more, and it's not a ranked team, but it's on the road. And as we know, where Kalen DeBoer struggled last year was on the road. The opening loss this year was on the road. So pulled out the win at Georgia, pulled out the win at Mizzou, but they were both close. So this is one that kind of I look at. The antenna goes up a little bit and goes, all right, Bama should win, and they should dominate. South Carolina's offensive line is pitiful, but Lenore Sellers is a unique talent, and NFL scouts are still talking about him as a first-round talent. So I just look at this one and go, does this one end up being close just because of how Bama's performed on the road under DeBoer?
It's certainly one to monitor. I'm not going to sit here and say that, hey, Alabama just goes in there and rolls despite their offensive line woes, which I know they have, despite the fact that it just feels like Sellers and the receivers and really the whole team just isn't jiving, and despite the fact they have Mike Shula as an offensive coordinator. Normally I would say that's already worth 10 points in my favor. But you're right. Number one, Kalen DeBoer has had a history of some bad road games in the SEC. That said, he's won his last two, and that's not nothing. And going to South Carolina, that place is going to be sky high, and it always is. They were filling up that stadium back when they were winless. I've been there a couple of times, and they really get into it. So I think it's going to be important for Alabama to get a lead, get out in front, force South Carolina to play from behind. And if they can do that, I think Alabama could open up a can. But for the most part, I would say just stay away from this game if you're into doing things like gambling on Alabama football.
It's funny, though, you look at the rest of the schedule. You get the bye week after that. Then you get LSU and Oklahoma, both currently ranked. We'll see if LSU loses at home to A&M. They'll fall out of the top 25 most likely. Be unranked going in that game. But Oklahoma looks to be pretty good. I mean, we know that the loss to Texas was largely because John Mateer was not healthy and all that. But I just look at it and say, I mean, at worst, 4-1 the rest of the way. And I mean, 10-2 gets you in. We'll see what happens, how the SEC shakes out. Maybe you don't even want to go to Atlanta. Maybe you want a home game at Bryant-Denny in the first round of the playoffs. But I think, is that fair enough to say? I mean, 4-1 should be kind of the bar here.
Yeah. I think if you go 4-1, you're in 100%. I mean, I don't care who the loss is, as long as the loss into Eastern Illinois. I mean, I think 4-1 gets you in. Because again, you will be one of the top teams in the SEC. There's no doubt. You will have as many good wins, if not more, than everybody else in the country. And you'll have potentially the Heisman favorite on your squad. Yeah, you're getting in. But I think there is certainly a good opportunity to go 5-0. I mean, I would make the argument, though, that the toughest game remaining on the schedule is at Auburn. And the reason I say that is you look at everything that's going on out on Auburn right now, on the campus at Auburn right now, and Hugh Freeze is persona non grata. I mean, they're just tired of him. So either he gets fired, DJ Durkin takes over, and it is, Braveheart all over again, or Hugh Freeze has turned the corner and some people start to buy back in and they ride that wave of high emotion. I don't think there's any way Auburn didn't take the Alabama game incredibly seriously. You look, Nick Saban said it this past weekend on game day. He said, I never had a problem getting my guys up for Tennessee. I always had a problem getting them up for Auburn. I don't know why. I wish he hadn't said it. I wouldn't feel that way. I grew up too close to Auburn, but that was what Nick Saban said. So, and I think that could be, again, a thing this year. But if Alabama takes care of business with LSU and they take care of business with Oklahoma, they'll be favorites over both of them. Then they're getting in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's going to be fine. I just painted that picture in my mind that it's like Auburn breaks through. They rally the troops. DJ Durkin, the interim, they beat Alabama. And Alabama turns around and goes, you know what, fine. We didn't want to go to Atlanta. And, hey, we get to host a playoff game next week. So it's almost like it might play in Alabama's favor losing that game.
That's the one thing. It's not the one thing, but it's one of my major reasons that I was against this expansion for a situation just like this. It is almost like the NFL playoffs, and you get to week 17 and you got, say, the Colts, and they're like, we got the number one seed wrapped up. We can just go out there and just play whoever. And then you go out there and lose. Well, rivalries in the NFL aren't as big a deal as rivalries in college, at least. They aren't on my eyes. So I think that I'm still over here like, yeah, I want to beat Auburn every time we play them, no matter what we're doing. So I always want to take it seriously.
Yeah, there have been murders over the Iron Bowl. So
that is very sadly true.
He is Luke Robinson, Locked On Bama. Luke, always appreciate the time, man. Thanks so much.
Appreciate you. Thank you, buddy.
Hey guys, college football is back, and of course, each week gets more and more exciting, from the tailgates to the rivalries, the energy in the stands. There's nothing like it. And let's be real, actually getting tickets can feel more like a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping up at checkout. It's why you got to check out our friends at Game Time. The app, Game Time app, gives you the advantage, gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. I've used the Game Time app multiple times this year. I've used it for concerts, used it for college football games. And let me tell you, it is super simple. You will see the exact view from your seat before you buy, so you know what the view is going to look like from that seat. Of course, they got zone deals. If you're not too particular on exact seat, you just want a certain area, you can pick the section. Game Time will pick the seats, and you will save big. And honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way you're going to buy tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use our code LOCKEDONCollege, get $20 off your purchase. Again, terms apply. That is promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off the first time you use them. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, roll along here. Locked On SEC, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. And thanks to Luke Robinson, talking all things Alabama. We do have a lot of other stuff to get to going on around the conference, so let's get you guys caught up. And we start over at Texas A&M, as the SEC has fined A&M and reprimanded Mike Elko for an Aggie player faking an injury against Arkansas. It was a violation of the conference's policy on feigning injuries. The announcement coming from the conference office in Birmingham comes with a reprimand for Elko and a fine of $50,000 issued to Texas A&M. The announcement states that the national coordinator of football officiating reviewed game video from the win over Arkansas on Saturday, and the national coordinator concluded that the sequence reviewed was more than likely a feigned injury. So basically, they said Tyreek Chappell went down and did not appear to be injured, and ended up costing A&M a timeout in the game. But after review, it kind of looks like, yeah, this it's a clear attempt to gain an unmerited advantage by stopping the game and the momentum of Arkansas, who was driving in the red zone. So kind of interesting. This is the first case that I can recall this year that they have a team's been fined for this, and we'll see if it is going to be something happens more and more often. I'm actually surprised Ole Miss has not been dinged with this one yet. But Texas A&M still undefeated, 7-0, 4-0 in SEC play. The lone undefeated team in the SEC. They'll be in Baton Rouge this weekend, taking on LSU in Death Valley on Saturday night. Meanwhile, over at Florida, Steve Spurrier giving his thoughts on the Florida coaching situation and Billy Napier, in the midst of Billy Napier being fired. Speaking with On Three's Chris Lowe on Tuesday, and Spurrier said he's staying neutral on all the rumored candidates, but he did offer some observations on some popular names. Spurrier saying, well, they're throwing Lane Kiffin's name out there a lot. He'd be a good hire. He said, look at what he's done at Ole Miss. And then he said Eli Drinkwitz is another one. Even John Gruden. There are several others, but Lane is being mentioned more than other guys, it seems. So, of course, Lane Kiffin and Eli Drinkwitz, both having great seasons, both, a couple 10-win seasons in the SEC at perhaps you would say smaller programs not as big as the Florida Gators, but obviously there's going to be a long way to go before a name is made in the hire. Over at Georgia, Kirby Smart, he was asked about the Billy Napier firing, and he said, first of all, I have a lot of respect for Billy. I've known him a long time. He's a guy that thinks things out really well. I think they've recruited well, done a good job. Paul Feinbaum, he shredded Billy Napier this week, speaking on ESPN's First Take, saying it was long overdue. He was really a complete failure of a coach. Noted Napier was the fourth straight Gator coach to be fired since Urban Meyer departed in 2010. And they're going to get some stability back there in Gainesville. Feinbaum believes there's only one person that Florida's fan base wants as the replacement, and that is Lane Kiffin. He said, the name I keep hearing, every student on campus said, can you get us Lane Kiffin? Lane Kiffin will be the number one choice. The question is, will he leave Ole Miss? He's always been interested in the job. He grew up a fan of Steve Spurrier. That's why he wears a visor on the sidelines. Sticking with Florida, DJ Lagway was asked to comment on Florida and his future in the wake of the Billy Napier firing. He says, told reporters on Monday, quote, "I'm a Florida Gator, man. My biggest focus right now is these 5 games." So I don't know if that's the best commitment. Yeah, I'm here for these 5 games, but follow-up question would have been, what about after those 5 games, DJ? What are you thinking? I'm focused. I'm just focused on these games. Okay, yeah. Next year, where will you be? Will you be here or somewhere else? The time will tell on that one. Got to think. A lot depends on who they hire, if Lagway likes to hire. All right, over at Alabama, Xavier Brown with the defensive play of the week last week, 99-yard pick 6 against Tennessee just before halftime. He also had 7 tackles. The sophomore defensive back picking up a national honor, named the Bronco Nagurski National Player of the Week for his performance against Tennessee in the big-time win. The former 5-star recruit joined the Tide in 2024, started all 13 games as a true freshman, and entering Saturday, he had recorded 5 total tackles and pass breakups over Alabama's first 6 games of the year, and no bigger play than that one for Alabama. And then lastly, a little baseball nugget on the way out of here. Tony Vitello, very beloved in Knoxville. As you guys may have read, there's been reports the last week or so that the San Francisco Giants have been courting him to come be their Major League Baseball manager. And, they had a fall scrimmage on Tuesday, and a lot of Vol fans showed up, started chanting, "We want Tony." And so, according to the reports over the weekend, the Giants were closing in on hiring the 47-year-old, among other reports. But on Tuesday, there was Vitello in Knoxville, still the Tennessee coach. And when the "We want Tony" chants started, he turned and acknowledged the love. He didn't just acknowledge them. He even bothered to walk down towards the fans who were chanting his name and threw a ball to one of them. So we'll see. I assume a final verdict will come. The question, I guess, becomes, is it about money? Does Tennessee need to up what they're paying him? He did just get a raise recently, but do you have to compete with the Major League Baseball teams now to keep your college baseball coach? Crazy times. All right, a reminder to check out the Locked On SEC. We're simulcast daily on television on the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. For any of our listeners who live in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, catch us weekdays, 11:30 a.m. Central on the Gulf Coast Sports Entertainment Network, home of the New Orleans Pelicans and home of Locked On SEC. I'm Chris Gordy. This has been Locked On SEC. Everybody have a great day. Thanks again to Luke Robinson. We'll be back tomorrow talking all things SEC, get you caught up on all the latest news going on around the conference.